Welcome to Pastor's Chat today, where we're going to finish Psalm 78, the second longest psalm in the book of Psalms. We've been talking about how Asaph wrote this psalm, probably in the days of Hezekiah, the king. It was a dark and dismal time, and people were discouraged. Asaph was somewhat discouraged, and he was seeking God to tell him and show him what the nation could do to come back to him. And so he speaks of several things. One, he talks about how we need to protect the future. He says we're going to teach these lessons to our children because our fathers told us, and we're going to tell our children that the generation to come might know who God really is. And they may not be like their fathers. We find that in the first verses of the chapter, verses 1 through 8. But then he talked about how if we're going to protect the future, we need to understand the past. And then he gives a history lesson of what has taken place with Israel, especially the northern kingdom, who was described as Ephraim, who was a part of that, was one of the tribes of the northern kingdom that forsook God and went into idolatry under Jeroboam and other kings that led them away from God. And how that the southern kingdom, Judah and Benjamin, they still were there in Jerusalem. And Asaph is encouraging these two tribes, don't do what Israel did, the northern kingdom, Ephraim did. Stay true to the Lord because God has chosen you. And so he make sure understand the past, but then appreciate the present. And that's these last verses 65 through 72. Then the Lord awoke from sleep like a mighty man who shouts because of wine. And he beat back his enemies. He put them to a perpetual reproach. Moreover, he rejected the tribe of Joseph and did not choose the tribe of Ephraim, but chose the tribe of Judah, Mount Zion, which he loved. And he built his sanctuary like the heights, like the earth which he has established forever. He also chose David, his servant, and took him from the sheepfolds, from following the ewes that had young. He brought him to shepherd Jacob his people and Israel his inheritance. So he shepherded them according to the integrity of his heart and guided them by the skillfulness of his hands. And so he finishes, and it's kind of metaphorical when he says the Lord awoke as from sleep. Now the Lord never sleeps, and the Lord is never drunk from wine, but it's as if he had been, and he wakes up and he says, I'm going to take care of my chosen people, the nation of Israel. And through King David, he beat back his enemies. He put them to a perpetual reproach, and he rejected the tribe of Joseph. And when I read the book of Genesis and I read about the 12 sons of Jacob, and you go through their history and how all 11 of them sold Joseph into slavery, but Joseph stood strong. He kept doing what God wanted him to do. Of all the tribes, I would have thought he would have chose Joseph. And by the way, Ephraim was one of the sons of Joseph. You would have thought one of the sons of Joseph, but that was the one God rejected. They went away from God into idolatry, and God chose David. Why? Because Jacob, the father, had been told that the scepter, the king of kings, would come from the tribe of Judah. Now, Saul was from the tribe of Benjamin. So as his first king, he didn't fit that criteria. And God rejected him eventually, and God chose David. Man, God's plans and purposes never, ever end. They will always be fulfilled. And you can be assured, even today, with all the chaos in the nations, all the stuff that's going on in America and around the world, God still sits on the throne, and he rules and he reigns. And he chose David, a man of integrity, a man after his own heart, a man who was skilled. In whatever he did, he was skilled. He had both the ability and the heart to do the right thing. God knows what he's doing. You can trust him. And we need to pray that even today, God would give us shepherds, pastors, leaders who would shepherd the people of God, who would care for them, feed them, lead them, guide them, and remember always, we have the great and the good shepherd, Jesus Christ, to look out for us. And he's with us every day. He never leaves us nor forsakes us. What a great chapter. And I trust you'll enjoy reading it in the years to come. God bless, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.